we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Obviously, everyone has different starts,
Different
right? But you
starts.
cannot. Your start is not what's going to dictate. It's where you finish. It's what you take. It's what you do with the tools that are provided to you,
Yeah.
right? We all live in the same world. We all have the same 24 hours. We all have to. Sometimes some of us go to school. We all need a job. Everyone's getting paid minimum wage sometimes, right? But it depends on what you do with the tools that you have.
Imran, welcome to the It's Not That Deep podcast, brother.
Thanks for having me, man.
I'm really excited to do this now. We've been talking about it for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I know I say that about everyone, but this one I've been really looking forward to. You're a guy I actually really look up to. You really inspired me. But let's go through your creds a little bit. You're a 4th degree black belt, owner and teacher at Canadian Sport Martial Arts Academy. I almost screwed that up a bit. And a self-made businessman, hustler, and also recently a father. Congratulations for that, by the way, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, but I really look up to you, your grind and your hustle. Like, I've known you for a while now, and just watching your absolute passion for everything you do, it's just amazing, man. So thanks for coming out. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for saying that. And I want to say congratulations on all your success in this podcast. Earlier this year, the camera's right there, right? I can look right at the camera.
Absolutely.
Earlier this year, this guy posted, I'm going to start a podcast, and it right away got my sight. Right away, I was looking at it. And now when you look at the people he's had on his podcast and the momentum and the speed it's growing, it's actually so motivating. It's amazing. So when he asked me to be on the podcast, I was very humbled and excited. So I couldn't wait. I kept telling him, yo, let's do it soon. Let's do it soon. He's like, no, no, no. And then next, my parents came, and finally we got it done today.
Yeah.
Today's the day. So let's get going.
I really appreciate all those kinds of words, man. Like, it all starts with an idea, right? And then actually executing on it, you kind of get caught up in the day-to-day, but I'm just having fun with it, man. I feel like I'm just getting started, though. And speaking about just getting started, let's talk about your starting. How'd you get into martial arts? Let's dive right in. Like, what piqued your interest in this martial arts game to start?
Okay, so I'm not the most athletic person. I wasn't the most talented kid. My parents put me in soccer as a kid, and actually my parents have this picture of me crying in my, you get those soccer pictures, and
yeah.
I'm crying in my picture. And I was that kid on the field who would talk with the other kids while the ball was in the complete other side of the field. So I was in there, I was just chilling, I was just having a good time, but not really doing anything. So
Right.
I wasn't one of those kids that strive in team sports. I'm not a naturally talented kid. And then I had this neighbor who started karate, who started martial arts. And I'm actually born from Hamilton, so I'm from Hamilton. So I had this neighbor who started karate, and we were always close. And when your neighbor comes home, he would always come home every weekend with trophies. And then I would go over to his house and play, and his room would be full of trophies. And then I went home and I told my mom, like, Mom, he has so many trophies. I want to get trophies someday. I want a room full of trophies, I want to do karate. And then we tried it out, and I started loving karate back in the day. So I started when I was 6 years old in karate in a very traditional, old school karate school. And it was kind of like a low down school. It wasn't one of the higher level schools. There was a lot of good martial arts schools at the time in Hamilton, and the one that my neighbor went to, I really wanted to go to that one, but unfortunately we couldn't afford it. So my parents put me in this really low down one, up the stairs, and just wood floors, and very, very traditional, where I'm talking you get a belt every year. So you're in there for a long time, and you're just doing super traditional moves. And then so I got my blue belt when I was there, and my dad since then got offered a job in Ottawa. Then we moved to Ottawa, and then when we came to Ottawa, again, there was a lot of great martial arts schools in Ottawa. You had your friend Tony Greco here,
Mm-hmm.
who was amazing, by the way,
Yeah.
who was also a great role model of mine. He had his own school. So many people had schools, and high level martial arts schools. And then there was this one school I went to, and oh, sorry, time for a sec. I still didn't win a trophy, by the way. So I said I really wanted trophies. I still didn't get a trophy by then.
Yeah.
And that was I was in karate for already so long, for like 4 years. Still no trophy. And so we get to Ottawa, and there's one martial arts school we go to. It's called Pro Style Martial Arts, located in Canada.
Okay.
And it's still around, actually. It's still there. And we went there, and I saw there's trophies everywhere, and the classes are packed, and it's such a great organized school.
Right.
And I really wanted to go. I did my first intro class. Really, really wanted to go, and I told my mom, look, there's trophies everywhere. And my mom's like, don't fall for all that trophy stuff. It's probably really expensive. And
That's what it comes down to with
yeah,
immigrant parents, right?
yeah, man, like my dad is the one that works. My mom is the hustler. That's how it is.
That's how it goes.
And my mom works too, but my mom was the hustler. She was in charge of everything financially. And so that was the case. And my mom, and obviously they were charging a lot, probably close to double to what we were paying back in Hamilton.
Okay.
But my mom always remembers this because she doesn't regret it, obviously. When she signed me up for karate at this school called Pro Style Martial Arts, the lady that was signing me up told my mom that, because my mom was like, I'm used to paying, $50 a month. I can't remember, $50 a month. And here it's like $90 a month. Why are you charging so much? And I remember the lady telling my mom that this, Mrs. Jaffer, this is going to be one of the best investments you'll ever do for your son. And karate is the only thing I've always done. I've never done any other sports. I've actually tried out for other sports, and I failed. And it didn't work out for me. And karate was always my thing.
Okay.
So, but the thing is, when I went to this school, they made me start from the bottom again. So I had to start as a white belt. So I was a blue belt.
Oh, that's humbling.
I know. I wasn't the best blue belt, so it actually worked out. And I say this all the time in my school. The kids that take the longest to get their black belts always turn out to be the best black belts. So it takes on average 4 to 5 years in my school to get a black belt, but I don't rush anyone. So they made me start as a white belt and then end up training there, and then getting my black belt there. And then so much happened there. I grew a lot at this school, and I had my karate instructor. His name's Master John, who still teaches there. Was probably one of my biggest mentors in my life. Every martial arts instructor, I'm sure if anybody has done martial arts or listened to this, you guys will always remember your karate instructor. Your karate instructors will always be one of the biggest mentors. And he taught me about competition, he taught me about teaching, and then it all went from there. And I used to help out with classes when I was younger, helping out for free, helping out with parties, and eventually they hired me, and then I started working there, and then everything became history.
So you were all in on it. This is all encapsulating. This is all you did with your free time outside of school and whatnot.
Exactly. It was always karate. I'd go to school. I'd do my homework. I'd actually bring my homework to the karate school and do my homework at the karate school, then assist with classes, and then actually train.
Okay, that's really cool, man. So then when you're surrounded by this and now you're slowly getting up in different belts and then whatnot, what was the goal? Still the trophies, or did that shift? Did the mind now shift to loving the process more? What was it?
It was still the trophies.
It was still the
It
trophies.
was still the trophies. So how it happened was, we had every school, they have their competitive members that would try out for Team Canada. Kind of like, you had Tony Greco, who talked about his gold medal at the World Championships. We would compete at the same World Championships as Tony Greco.
Okay.
And every school you had to qualify at tournaments and everything like that. And I'd always see, like, there's probably from our school maybe 5 students that were always doing extra training, and I'm always like, man, I want to do that. I want to do that. And my instructor always told me, you can't try out until you're a black belt. I'm like, okay, so I'm assisting with classes. I'm doing tournaments. It took me a while to start winning at tournaments. Like I said, I wasn't super talented. I only started winning trophies at tournaments when I was a brown belt.
Okay.
But the thing is, when you become a black belt, it's a different game. because you're competing against people who have done it for so long,
Yeah.
right?
And it's
When
a
you
way higher caliber of competition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a different game. So when I got my black belt and I jumped into and I started doing tournaments in the black belt level, I didn't win anything for like a good 2 years.
Okay.
It was a drought, so no trophies, and it took me a while. It took me what it took was looking at who's at first place, who's at second place, third place, and seeing what they're doing, and I gotta see what they're doing, and I gotta do what they're doing and more.
Okay.
And I used to ask, there's referees. I used to ask them, what is it I need to work on? What do I need to improve on? It's always just kind of seeking knowledge and then going back to the lab and grinding it out.
Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty much it. And once, after a good 2 years of competing at black belt and losing terribly, I actually started winning. And in karate,
What did that feel like? With that
amazing.
shift?
Amazing. And I would come home with trophies, and actually at my mom didn't let me keep my trophies. My mom has all my trophies at her house in Toronto.
Okay.
So when I go visit my parents, my trophies are all there. I have some at my house and some of my world championship medals at my house, but all my trophies are at my mom's house, at my parents' house.
Why?
Because she didn't want me to take them. She was just she's so proud of me, right? And I was so committed to it.
I love that.
So into it, and every weekend going to a tournament in Montreal, in Toronto, anywhere, and just competing and just come back.
That's so powerful, man, because you ate shit for a long time. I was trying to put that in a nice way, but no, like you were losing. You were not winning. You were not getting what you wanted. You were not getting the trophies. But it would be so easy for you to have just been like, this ain't for me. Maybe I'm just not an athletic guy.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, I'm not cut out for this. Like, I'm a brown belt, that's good. But what was the mentality like when you were like, I gotta get that black belt. I gotta get in. I gotta start winning these tournaments. I gotta compete, train harder. What was that like? Because a lot of people don't go about their life like this, right? Mm-hmm. To you, it must be natural, but explain that, like that mentality.
Well, back then I was young, so you don't really think about it this way. But now when you think about it, it's the concept that no one gets what they want the first time, and sometimes not the second time, and a lot of times not the third time and the fourth time. You just got to keep trying. It's like the greatest people in the world. You have like you read all these success stories of like Steve Jobs, for example. Steve Jobs wasn't successful right away. It took him a lot of times to keep trying.
He got fired from his own company.
Exactly, right? So many of these people, right? Yeah. So many of these very successful people, and obviously I didn't know this when I was young. Because when you're younger, you don't think like that. You're just, it depends. Everyone's different, but you just keep coming back. You don't take it to heart as much as when you're older and when you're a teenager and everything like that, because everything changes. But yeah, that's now that I think about it, that's the mentality, and I've used that mentality in everything. And actually, it's the black belts mentality. It's what we teach at my school. Is that we won't win the first time. You're not supposed to win the first time.
Yeah.
Right? You're supposed to go, you lose, you come back, you learn, you figure it out, you go again, you might lose again, you might win again, and you should get closer and closer every time.
Let's actually talk about that right there for a little bit, because I think that's really important what you're teaching right there, because in a world where we're often taught, like avoid failure. Try your best to just succeed. Go get an A+ on that test, or else, you did not do well. I think it's important to teach people that, failure is good. Failure is a part of life. We don't have to make it this taboo, negative thing. And like in a world of participation awards and stuff like that, I'm sure you have an opinion on all that. Mm-hmm. But like, how do you... I mean, I guess it's not really a question so much as just how do you kind of instill that in the greater, like not just for martial arts, to people, because it can apply to business, life, everything, right?
So, great question. I would like to use the quote from the best, most famous martial artist, Bruce Lee, where you're only defeated. Defeat is a state of mind. You're only defeated when you give up. Right? It's a great quote, and I say it to all my students. We talk about it a lot. It's just, like I said, it's the no quit, all hustle kind of concept, right? You gotta keep going. When it doesn't work out, you come back. You go back to the lab. You see what I did wrong, and you got right back at it. And yeah, like
do you attribute that more to discipline from a young age? You know, you talk about from 6 years old, you're in karate.
Hmm.
You know, if someone wants to start as someone older and get into, let's say a 30-year-old wants to get into karate
Hmm.
and, starts getting his ass kicked and isn't in great shape and, just starts to see really negative results. How do you try to motivate or keep this person on track to be like, no, 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 this is all part of the process. You will get to where you want to get. It just takes time. How do you instill that in older people or people who are wired a little different?
Well, in the end of the day, you have to be a result of what you're teaching, right? You got to be a role model to your members. So I have a lot of adult karate members, and this year, we had a few of them had to go for their black belts.
Okay.
And to go for a black belt at my school, there's certain fitness requirements. One of them is 50 push-ups in a row without taking a break, and you have a pad on your chest. So you have to touch the pad with your chest. 100 push-ups in less than 3 minutes, and all kinds of other crazy stuff. And I had a couple two.
Tell me some of the other ones.
Okay,
I want to
so
know. I want to know.
500 crunches.
Okay.
And running 5K in less than 10 minutes.
Okay.
So just like, pretty much we want our martial arts to be in shape. Obviously, if you're gonna be a black belt, you got to be in shape. Come on, like
Conditioning is an important part of that.
yeah, it kills me when I see black belts and they're out of shape and their belts are like this long on them because their belly's so big. It kills me.
Yeah.
You got to be in shape, and that's what we teach at my school, and that's why I have to always be in shape. Okay, anyways, so I had two ladies who felt literally like it was impossible to achieve this goal. So they've been training with me for almost 4 years, and it's time to go for your black belt. You have to meet these fitness requirements and everything. And they're like, oh man, I don't see it possible. I don't think I can do this. And they literally want to quit. And my job, I told her like, that my job is not to let you quit. I'm a Renchi. I'm a fourth degree black belt. You cannot quit. My goal is to make sure you achieve your goals, and your goal is to become a black belt, and your goal is to become the best version of you. So, what we did, what I told, and I kind of just had to tell her straight up. And when people go through that kind of scenario, that kind of situation where they're in a really rough spot and they don't feel like it's attainable, the goal's not attainable.
Yeah.
You gotta tell them straight up. And I told her, what I said to her was that, because it was actually an interesting scenario. Her daughter did martial arts and got her black belt the year before, and she had a hard time getting a black belt as well, and I had to fight her to get it, and I had to tell her like, listen, we can do this. I had to motivate her, and even the mom really wanted to push her, and now the mom is not wanting to do it. So I said to her, well, think about your daughter. Right? If you're not gonna go through with this, you pushed your daughter so hard to do this, you're gonna be the biggest role model for your kids, right? I will always remember I had so many great role models growing up, but as I got older, I realized that my dad was the best role model for me. He was the greatest role model for me. And your kids are going to, I'm sure you've realized that. All kids realize that as they get older. So you got to, as a parent, and I'm a parent now, I can say this. As a parent, everything you do, everything you put your mind to, you got to achieve it. When you say you're going to do something, you got to do it, because your kids are always going to remember that.
It's bigger than you.
It's bigger than you. Now it's not, you're not doing this for yourself. You're doing this for your daughter. You're doing this for your family, right? So it's a bigger picture now. So back to the question of what, when you have an adult member that's in that position, you kind of got to tell them straight up what they don't want to hear. And it's hard because I'm a bit younger than a lot of these members, but now I've been doing this for so long. I've been doing martial arts for over 20 years. I've seen so many different cases. Now I'm just kind of telling them, I say to them, like, listen, you got to do this, or think of your kids. You're the biggest role model for them.
Yeah.
If you quit, how are they going to continue? Right? How are they going to continue or try to achieve a goal if you quit on your goals?
Right.
Well, that's what it comes down to. You can't teach your kids to set goals if you're not unable to set goals and achieve them yourself.
Right. Because then everything you say to them won't have any backbone. It's just, you're just preaching to nothing.
Exactly.
I like that a lot. That's very powerful, Brand. So let's talk about how you switched martial arts schools. Talk to me about that a little bit, because you did talk about having this mentor, was it Coach Joe or sorry, Master Joe?
Yep, instructor named Master John.
Yeah. And how did that all work out? What was the switch? Why'd you do it?
So I'm not gonna get too far in detail with it, but essentially, I wanted to, I was gonna go to university. I was turning 18, going to university. I wanted to change my training up. I wanted to do a little more fighting and all that kind of stuff. And then I actually met my second mentor at the gym.
Okay.
So he was this guy was working at the gym. We've seen each other at tournaments before. He owns a martial arts school in Canada as well. We've seen each other at tournaments before. We made eye contact. We're like, yo, what's up? Hey. And then he kind of came up to me and we just started chatting.
Okay.
And he was actually running this big tournament. His name is Ben Stewart, by the way. He was running this big tournament, and I was telling him, yeah, I don't think I'm going to come to the tournament. And then long story short, he kind of sold me on coming to the tournament. And then came to the tournament, and then from there, it just started from there. He's like, we talked about training, and he's like, if you want to train, you have to be a member of my school. And then that's how it happened. So I ended up switching schools because of and I'm still got a great relationship with Master John. Actually, I saw him this weekend. We're still super tight. I'll never forget what he's done for me. He had a great hand in raising me and teaching me a lot of values of life and everything like that, and how to teach great classes as well. And then I met my second mentor, and I think it's important that you have many mentors in your life, right? So I've had many mentors to help me with my career, my business career. So I switched over to this school. I started training there, and then they hired me as an instructor over there. So I was used to work at the other school as an instructor, and then I ended up stopping because I was focusing on school, just doing personal training on the side. And then they hired me here so I can do my personal training there and teach classes there.
Okay, so at this new gym, what was it like? What was different? How did you work on the fighting more? Did you get to do more sparring, that kind of stuff?
Yes. Now here's the thing about martial arts schools. They all compete against each other. We all compete against other martial arts schools. You switch to one school. Ooh, it's like that. It's a community. Everyone knows each other because we see each other at tournaments. It's always been like that, especially way back in the day. Not as much right now, but definitely way back in the day it was like that.
It's like a loyalty thing?
Yeah, it's a big loyalty thing, right? And it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You've been trained there for so long. Like your dojo, your school is like a home, second home to you, right? It's I'm coming from a different school. These guys are great fighters. They're beating me up. It's part of the game, and they're kicking my butt, and I'm trying to get better at fighting through these guys, and it was great.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And how was fighting with people who are now all kind of higher level? What was that transition?
It's awesome. That's the best way to get better, right? You gotta associate yourself with better people. So if you wanna, and I tell this to all my students who do a lot of fighting, I'm like, if you want to become a better fighter, you got to fight the higher level fighters. And when you're fighting the higher level fighters, you got to go all out, because in the end of the day, you got nothing to lose.
Okay.
Because they're a high level fighter. This guy may be a third degree black belt who's multi-time world champion. So, and I may be just a brown belt. I got nothing to lose if I'm fighting this guy. He has everything to lose. So I should just go all out, and that's how you're gonna learn.
Are you trying to knock these guys out in karate fighting? Excuse my ignorance here,
Yes.
because I don't think I've ever watched one.
Yeah.
But what is like the objective? What is like the actual goal?
So there's a couple styles of fighting, right? There's boxing, there's kickboxing, there's point sparring, there's obviously MMA, which MMA is a mix of everything together. Point karate or point sparring, how it is you're using a lot of kicks, a lot of explosive movement, and it's whoever hits first. And obviously when you're fighting in the men's division, there's no one's going back. Everyone's hitting freaking hard. Full tilt, man. You're fighting a full-grown man, and they're fighting super hard. So when we're training, obviously, when you're sparring, you're not trying to knock each other out. It's you're trying to make each other better. Obviously, you're gonna get kicked in the stomach. It's gonna hurt. You might take a kick to the head or face. It's gonna hurt, but like you're not trying to hurt each other. But, you're getting beat up here and there, but it's part of the game, right?
Are you wearing any protective headgear in this or stuff like that? And what's your opinion on that?
Yes, because your head it's the most important part of your body.
But do you think it actually protects your head? Let's say I'm kicking you in the head full tilt, and I actually have experience and know how to do it.
Yep.
Is this little piece of whatever it is?
No, it does. No, I've seen people get knocked out by wearing the headgear. It does not definitely does
But
not
it's
fully
better
protect.
than not having headgear, you
Yeah.
would say?
But you're still gonna get knocked out. Like I've seen people get flat out knocked out wearing a full headgear. You know, it's like, so sometimes like, what's the point of wearing the headgear, right? But obviously, like insurance purposes,
Uh-huh.
at the
Oh,
business,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
everyone's gotta be wearing full protective gear. You know,
Okay.
so that when you think about it from that perspective, then yes,
Okay.
right. So
How do you feel about the impact of brain injuries and stuff like that in the sport?
I think now it's really coming out. It's this sport. It's mostly like, you know, when you watch full contact, like you watch UFC and you see like now you'll notice now they're being a little more quiet about it. They're not. They're also being smart about it. They're not letting fighters fight right away when they get knocked out, and it's super important. Like I saw this one guy. His name's Michael Bisping.
Yeah.
If you know UFC, you know Michael Bisping, this English fighter, great guy, hilarious. I met him actually when
Oh,
when
no way.
UFC came to Ottawa. I met him and he's hilarious. But when he lost to GSP, which was freaking sick fight.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you watch
Yeah,
that
I've
fight?
seen that
Holy
fight.
frig, legendary fight.
Crazy fight.
GSP is the GOAT. Come on. GSP is the GOAT.
I love me
Never
some
got caught
GSP.
with steroids. He's Canadian. And the guy fights
Most
up.
humble dude ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't met him, but from like a podcast I've
We're going to
listened
get
to
him on the podcast. That's what we're going to do.
Let's do
We'll
it,
tag
man.
GSP on this post. But so humble. And actually, GSP is a karate guy. I don't think people
Oh, I didn't
people
know
know that, but I didn't say that. GSP is actually a karate guy,
Okay.
and karate is all about respect. So you'll notice a lot of the karate guys in UFC, they're not trash talkers. They don't say stupid stuff. They don't do stupid stuff in the ring. They're very humble and respectful. So GSP actually trains in point sparring as well, like I do,
Okay.
in Montreal. But anyways, we're talking about Michael Bisping here.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
No, all good, all good.
Yeah. So Michael Bisping, when he fought GSP beat him, which was an amazing fight. And then literally took a fight next month, and he got knocked down in this fight. Takes a fight next month. He's like, okay, I'm going to take this last minute fight, not prepared, and gets knocked out, flat out knocked out. And
That's
he had,
when
and he was forced.
That's
Yeah.
when I got. Yeah.
Yep. And he was forced to retire. So, you know, when it comes, and I don't know a lot about the head stuff, by the way. So I don't know too much about it, but that's when I noticed that, you know, like they got to be careful with these fighters. These fighters are putting their life on the line.
But
pretty much.
but what does that mean? What is they got to be careful, because when two men are entering a cage
Yeah.
and you're telling them to basically all but kill them,
Yep.
it's basically just one step before killing another person.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, in the absence of a crew and, like, you know, ambulance, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to kill this person, and I have all these tools in my arsenal to do so.
Yeah.
Whether it be submission, knockout, this, blah, 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 blah. How could you make that more safe? Like, I don't get how.
I think it's the post fight
Okay.
recovery, right? Like
Recovery.
after
Take
you're
more
done a
time.
fight, if this guy got flat out knocked out the first fight, don't make him fight in a month later.
Yeah.
And now they are doing. I notice they are. I see better things, like when I saw this one fighter got terribly knocked out, and
Yeah.
he's on suspension for like almost a year now, which makes sense,
Mm.
right? Because I've never been knocked out. I've been lucky. I haven't been knocked
Knock
out.
on
I've
wood,
been
brother.
hurt, yeah, I've been hit very hard, but I've never been knocked out. But I know people that have been knocked out, and from what they tell me is that once it happens once, when you take a shot again, your brain automatically switches off.
It's
So
like
that's
a
why-
defense mechanism.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So when these fighters, they get knocked out a month before and then they jump into the ring again, like you're kind of like you're setting them up to die, almost die, you know? And
Yeah.
and then later on he's going to pay for it in the long run, right? So not, you know, anyone is going to pay for it in the long run. But
Well, yeah, man. You see a lot of boxers and high level fighters. You know, on the outside they appear fine
Yeah.
during their youth and during their prime, but then later in life, man, they're shaking. They can barely formulate a sentence. You know, it's not pretty. But it's a reality.
Yeah.
And I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast a lot, and I hear him talking about it a lot.
Mhm.
And like, he's way more immersed into this world, right? And he talks about it as well. Just like, yeah, man, I think he was a Taekwondo or something.
Yeah.
Is it coming up?
Yep. It is
And-
Taekwondo.
And he was getting headaches, and you know, he's like, he had to take a step back and be like, yo, do I want to do this? Like, is this smart for me?
Mhm.
So I don't really have a point here. I'm literally just like, I'm just wondering, like, how what's the future of this? Because all it's gonna take is one or two people to actually, pass away.
Actually, someone did. I
Really?
don't know if you heard about that in a boxing match recently.
No way.
So someone got knocked out pretty bad and went to hospital and he died.
Did
And he
not
was
know.
young. He was 28 or something. It's
Jeez,
pretty
man.
pretty messed up, man.
That is messed up, man. It's
Sad.
only gonna take a few of those
Exactly.
for government or somebody to step in and be like, well, you can only do this on an Indian reserve. I don't know. You can only do this like other places, like where
Yeah.
the law does not apply as strong, like because. And I think it was a big fight for the UFC, if correct me if I'm wrong, to even become legal in many states
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
US. Like I heard for a long time New York didn't allow it and this state didn't allow it, that state. But
Yeah.
imagine like they came that far and then now people dropping dead from one or two. Like if you get Deontay Wilder knocking you out, is that gonna be
Did you see
good
his
for you?
knockout
I
this
saw
weekend?
that, bro. Nasty.
Braun Squad.
Nasty, man.
Yo.
But as
Oh
guys,
my-
I like getting together with the guys and
Yeah.
sitting down and watching UFC, and it's a great spectacle, and I really enjoy and I appreciate the martial arts and the training and discipline and years of like you don't see the years of grind and work to get to even that stage.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, man. Like, is there a future? Because I feel the same way about football.
Mm-hmm.
It's very like there's a spotlight shined on it now
Mm-hmm.
in professional football, and I mean American football. To all my worldwide fans out there who are super pissed that I'm using the wrong football, but American football, like the head-to-head collisions and the CTE and all this brain trauma. I don't know. I just think in the future we're gonna see a lot softer versions of this stuff, like
Yep.
no leg kick to the head
Oh,
or
yeah.
no elbow. Certain types of elbows are allowed only to the body. I don't
Mhm.
know. I'm just
Yeah.
spitballing here, but we're gonna see some like.
Yeah. Well, now there's more knowledge. There's more research out there about brain trauma and everything like that. And
How do you prepare your students for that?
so, luckily the tournaments, obviously it's kids, so they're not fighting that freaking hard. Thank God. It's more of a mindset the way we prepare them as well, right? The thing about, I say this to the students about sparring, is that you can have the best kicks, you can have the best punches, but if you're not willing to actually execute it and actually get in there and be willing to take the risk of getting hit, then there's no point, right? So you got to have that mindset, that strong mindset that you're okay with getting hit, because part of the game you're gonna get hit, right?
Yeah.
It is part of the game, and that's the thing about fighting. That what it really teaches you, sparring. What it really teaches you is to take chances, it's to take risks. Actually, when I competed at a world championships in London, England. This was before I took over the karate school, so it was in 2014. And actually, you had your boy Corey Ellis on here.
Yes.
So before that summer, I met Corey Ellis before, only once. I went skydiving with Corey Ellis.
Oh no way.
Isn't that crazy?
That's
So
what a
and
small world.
you know Rohan Sondi?
Yeah.
So we all
That's how I met you
Yeah.
through those guys. Yeah.
those Sondi guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like to call them deadbeats, but anyways, that's not a derogatory term. They know.
Oh, man.
Anyways.
I love those guys. So me and Rohan, we went through this like extreme phase. We're like, yeah, let's go bungee jumping. So we went bungee jumping one time. Great time. I'm like, what's the next level? Let's go skydiving, okay? And he's like, okay, I'm gonna get my boys. So Corey Ellis was there, and Corey Ellis was on the plane with me, and I just met him that day. And actually, I watched this video a couple months ago because I have it on my USB. And Corey Ellis is in. They give you this video, like they record you. They have a GoPro, and Corey Ellis is in the video. And I'm like, yo, this is my boy Corey. I just met him today. He seems like a nice guy. And I'm jumping off the plane with this dude, And I've never seen him since. So, anyways, we get on the plane. And and I was 22 at the time, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this, And then we're getting higher and higher on the plane, and I look out the window, and I'm like, holy fuck, like,
What have I done?
what have I done? And things are getting smaller, and I'm like, okay, we're probably almost there.
Okay.
No, we're not there. We're going higher and higher and
Jeez.
higher, and I'm like, and I remember actually I didn't want to do it at that point. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so stupid. what the hell am I doing? And I was the first one to jump too. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. I told Rohan, I'm like, I don't want to do this, man. We shouldn't do this. You know, why did we think about doing this? And Rohan's is, Rohan has this big Rohan smiling. You know what I'm
I
talking
know
about.
exactly what you're talking
Yeah. And then we jump, right? So bottom of the story was that when I fell from the sky, we're falling 200 kilometers an hour. Have you ever gone skydiving before?
I have not.
You should go skydiving. When you go skydiving, it gives you this crazy feeling. I didn't want to jump at first, obviously. And when I'm falling down, I'm screaming. You can't even scream because you're going so fast. And then when he pulls the parachute, then you just have this next level feeling.
It's like bliss.
It's bliss, yeah. And then, once I landed and I had this different, like this, something really changed in my mindset. And it really, what skydiving really taught me is that if you can fall from the sky, if you can risk falling from the sky, you can risk anything. What's the worst that can happen now? I jumped off the sky. I could have freaking died. I didn't even tell my parents about this, obviously. But I jumped out the sky. I remember calling my wife being like, "Yo, I love you. And we were in a fight the day before. I know we were in a fight, but I love you, baby. I always love you.
Really
and she's crying on the phone like I'm dying.
That's so funny. That's so
Oh
funny.
my god! And then I did the skydiving. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go register for this big tournament in England. I haven't even been training, barely been training. I was in decent shape, but I haven't been training. So I did a couple of rounds before I left, and I went to London, England to compete at this tournament. And then I put my gear on. I'm getting ready to fight. In my mind, I'm just like, hey, if I jumped off the sky, going forward and punching these guys or kicking these guys is going to be nothing. And when you're doing especially karate point sparring, it's a lot of explosive movements, a lot of blitzing forward. I'm sure you know what blitzing is from football. You're blitzing forward, and the most common move is a step away side kick right to the gut. Okay, and it freaking hurts. It's the worst feeling when you get caught right in the solar plexus, and then you're like, like you're winded and everything. But and that's a lot of fighters. That's their biggest thing. So they blitz faster, they fake into it, whatever. So, but in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I fell off the sky. This is gonna be nothing for me. I'm just gonna go for it. A side kick to the stomach is not gonna feel like shit. So. And the next thing you know, I fought up and I got a silver medal with no training. I haven't barely been training. I haven't been fighting for a while. But I got up to a silver medal that year, and it was nuts. It was an unreal experience. And after that, that's kind of like, I know I'm jumping really far away.
No.
But that's really kind of what opened my mind, that really made me realize that I want to do this for the rest of my life.
That's so powerful, man.
Yeah.
I know I say that a lot about a lot of things,
Yeah.
but that shit is gonna stick with me. And I didn't even jump off the plane.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're going to jump off the plane soon.
I will. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it. I'm actually like, I have the most like pussy excuse for why I haven't done it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Is my shoulder. Like I actually I've had surgery on this one, and like it's dislocated so many times. And I see everyone's photos, because you know how they take like your instructor or whatever takes a photo with you.
Yep.
Your arms are out here like this.
Yeah.
My shoulder's gonna pop out at like what is it, 2,000 feet or something?
Yeah.
I can't have that. There's no popping my shoulder back in the sky. But I'm gonna figure out how to do it. Maybe there's some other way I could do it. But anyways, yeah, I that's really, really strong, because like once you did that, your mind actually like unlocked to like, okay, guess what, man? I could do anything. You gotta take risks. You gotta go and shoot your shot for whatever you gotta do.
For whatever, yeah, exactly.
I like that a lot. Let's talk about. Let's actually switch gears a little bit and talk about your experience with school.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it wasn't. it wasn't something that really fully panned out for you, from what I understand. But I want to hear your side of it.
Okay, let's bring it all the way back to 2009. Which was actually almost 10 years ago. It's actually crazy. So in 2009, what are we doing? I'm in high school, grade 12. Everyone is applying for university. And I'm that one of those few guys that are like, I don't know what I want to do, right? I really don't know what I want to do. Oh, I do martial arts. I like to work out, maybe exercise science. maybe sciences. What does my parents tell me? Like, what does every Indian parent tell you?
Doctor,
You have to be a doctor,
lawyer,
lawyer,
engineer.
engineer, or whatever. You have to do something. And you have to go to school, right? And so I feel like I rushed into school. I just kind of applied for whatever, and I went to school, and I was too young to be in school. But I don't regret it at the same time. Like, and I'll tell you why. But I was definitely way too young going to school. I think at 18 it's too young. I think and actually I got this from Joe Rogan. We haven't been on the planet long enough to really realize what we want to do. You're asking someone who's actually, when you think about it, at 16 years
16.
old, you actually have to start making the
Yeah,
decisions
yeah.
of what you want to be
That's what I was gonna say.
when you grow up. So you have to start taking these university level courses at high school and everything like that. My what I tell my kids, I have a lot of teenagers at the karate school, and what I tell them, I'm like, guys, I studied sciences, but I own a martial arts school. And all that biology, that mitosis and meiosis crap, I use that when I'm teaching classes, by the way. No, I don't. But so I tell them, guys, the best, if there's any young viewers listen to this and you're in high school, I would say the best strategy I could have done was, take the classes that are going to open all the doors, but don't go into school right away, and I wasn't the smartest kid as well. I was more of a I was more of a I was always working a job. I was working at the karate school, and I wasn't the smartest kid. I would do pretty well in school. Like I think in high school I had like an 80 average, which is decent. But usually the kids that have an 80 average have like a 60 average in university. So you know what I mean.
That's me.
So yeah, so me too, me too. So we'll talk about that in a bit. So going, I jumped into a science program. And then first year university, you're doing all these hard science courses and you meet so many people and you get caught up in that student life and you end up hanging out too much and then your marks end up sucking. And that's kind of what happened to me the first year, right? I chilled too hard. My marks weren't the greatest. And then I was like, you know what? I want to change my program. Maybe I should study something that I'm more into, like human kinetics. So I wanted to change. I was like, okay, this year I'm going to stop doing all that crazy stuff. I'm going to try to switch my program, get a higher average, and do this. So when I was switching try to switch to human kinetics, I had to take these mandatory courses. And who else was taking the mandatory courses? My wife.
Okay.
So I met my wife in one of those mandatory courses. So, and that's why I say I don't regret going to school, because I was a big failure in school. I didn't even graduate school, by the way. And it sucks to say that. I've put 4 to 5 years into school without coming out with anything. It really sucks to say that. But the reason why I came out with nothing is because towards the end of school, the opportunity of taking over the karate school came up. And it was one of those, should I stay in school or should I do this and do what I love?
A fork in the road moment where you got to decide.
Exactly. So, but I don't regret it. It is what it is. It sucks. Like I was practically done my degree, but what the idea was is that, okay, I'm not going to graduate yet because I want to get a higher average so I can apply to a sick master's degree, maybe physiotherapy or something like that. I'm going to take my time, but it actually didn't work out that way, but everything always worked out for the best. Right.
Yeah.
So, but I met my wife in school, so it all worked out. And in the end of the day, what happened was towards the end, my parents were moving to Toronto, and my parents obviously wanted me to be with them. And I told them, no, it's time for me to be on my own. Kind of like how you're on your own over here. I like it that you're on your own. I told my parents, I was 22. 22 was a big year. It's time for me to be on my own. I'm going to go to school and I'm going to finish off my program, up my marks, and then apply for physiotherapy. This is the plan. Okay. And then my parents left me. I moved out with one of my best friends. It was the best life ever. Living on your own or living with your best friend is a great time. I highly recommend it. You got to do it because you learn such amazing skills. Yeah. And then I went, skydiving, went to compete at the World Championships. I'm living my own. And then the opportunity came to get in to take over this karate school because the current owner of the karate school didn't want to do it anymore, and there was another one of the staff members that was gonna take over the school because he's been doing it for so long. And I go to my world championships, I do very well, And I really realized on that trip that, this is something I can do for the rest of my life. I've been teaching karate since I was 13 years old. I've been training, been doing all this. Why don't I just do this for the rest of my life?
Love it. Yeah.
So, but the thing is, at that, you don't think that's possible. You really don't think it's possible, especially when you're so, everyone's so school focused. Like, you got to go to school. You have to get this degree, get a master's degree, go this, go that. And honestly, when I was a kid, I told my dad one day, I'm like, I think I want to own a karate school. You know what he did? He told my karate instructor, I don't want him owning a karate school. You tell him no. And my karate
Yeah.
instructor told me, no, you should be a doctor. You should be this
Oh,
and that.
okay.
But actually, I actually expressed the interest when I was a kid, and my dad kind of, and I don't, whatever. But he shut it down. My karate instructor told me, no, you shouldn't do it.
And it doesn't come from a bad place. Like,
No.
and that's what, like, I think, what you're also trying to say is, like, it's not your dad's, he wasn't doing anything negative, man.
Yeah.
It was just our parents' way of saying, I want to set you up for success the best way possible. That's what they're really saying when they want us to have this clear path.
Yep.
That's what they want.
Absolutely.
Right? But you realized in your heart something was not right,
Mm-hmm.
and you wanted something else.
Yep.
And you knew that from a young age, but like all of us, you're influenced by friends and family and all these external things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, why I really look up to you and why I'm really inspired by you is that, you had that self-awareness at a young age
Mm-hmm.
to be like, nah, this ain't right. I'm gonna pursue this.
Exactly.
And so when you did take over this martial arts school, talk to us about that experience a little bit more in depth. Tell me, like, what was it like to actually, you're so young, you haven't run a business before, you don't know anything. Like, I'm speaking for you a little bit here. Please
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but
No.
you have the consuming and the teaching side of it, but now there's all this other component. Talk to us about that a little bit.
So let me tell you really quick, like, what you said about my dad is absolutely right, because when the opportunity came, I remember calling my dad. I said, Dad, this is coming up. He wants to sell the school, and I want to buy into it. I want to own this martial arts school. He's like, what about school? He's like, what about your school? What about university? I'm like, yeah, we're gonna see about that. He's like, but I think this is such a great opportunity. I can't miss this out. I really want to do this. And he's like, son, sometimes you have to take a risk, so you should just do it. And I was like, I was shocked. You don't expect that, because your dad is always pushing you to go to school. And it's probably the realest thing my dad ever said. And it's funny, that whole year is about risk. I went skydiving, I went to compete at a tournament, and now my dad's like, you should risk this. You should do this, because you will never know what will happen if you didn't do it. And I'm 22 at the time. So young, still young, 28.
Yeah.
So, so we did it. And now to answer your question, I knew nothing about business. Let's be honest. I didn't study business. But I'm a naturally a good talker. I can say that I'm a good salesman, everything like that. And I think in business, you need to be amazing in sales. And then everything else you can learn.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that helped my business was just investing in myself.
Okay.
So if what we would do every year, we would go to conventions, we would go to these seminars, and learn from some of the best martial arts business owners around the world, and learn from them, and then implement some of their tactics into our business and amplify it and make it our own systems. So every year I do that. Every year I'll go to from 1 to sometimes 5 conventions or different seminars, just to learn different things, whether it's about sales, about marketing, about business, about personal development, which is super important as well.
Yeah.
I remember there was this one year where we actually took a big chance, and we invested in this consultant in US. And we were paying him like a lot of money every month to be working with this guy. And it was that year actually where we kind of doubled our business.
Wow.
We worked with this guy. We invested a lot of money into this guy to work with them, and the return was just amazing. We implemented all these new systems. We started a new program at our school. We started this new marketing tactics, and we just kind of tweaked it up and made it our own. And from there, our business has been completely thriving.
I love this story, man, because of something that you said there. You didn't go to business school, but you didn't have to. You actually went and just, people think that you have to be in school to learn, but you never stopped learning.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, okay, I'm university, whatever. I'm just gonna be a couch potato and just coast through life now, whatever. I guess I'm a failure. It's like, nah, I'm gonna do this thing, and I'm gonna learn as much as I can through all these other alternative methods, which I also want to get into with you a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But the conferences, the mentorship. My next real question for you is, what is the role of mentorship for you in growing and stuff? You said you found this. Was it a one person? Was it a coach? What was this like?
So, like I said, I've had many great mentors. Master John is number over the first one. My dad is a great mentor, and I met this guy named Ben Stewart, who's a crazy entrepreneur, and he used to compete at tournaments as well, and he runs his own business. And he taught me a lot about running the business.
Yeah.
And then I had this other guy as well who was a mentor. His name was Arthur, who's actually best friends with Tony Greco. So
Okay.
it's crazy how it all works out. And he taught me a lot as well.
Sweet.
So when we were getting close to taking over the business, we had these two guys just coaching us and helping us get ready for, the systems, everything like that. But the biggest thing I would say they taught me was about sales. I think sales is what makes your business. You can have such a great product. I can have the best teachers. I can be the best instructor, have the best looking school. But if I don't know how to sell a membership, I'm not going to be able to bring people through the door, and my doors won't be open. So sales, I think for business, sales is everything. And everything else is super important, but sales is definitely the number one thing.
You could get someone to do the accounting.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn about the financial side of things and the operations and stuff. You could outsource some things here and there, but when it comes to one concrete thing you would recommend people to focus on is sales.
Yeah.
Does marketing get included in that, or is that a separate thing as well?
Marketing is definitely included in that, because if you can't sell, there's no marketing.
Right.
But if there's no marketing, what are you going to sell? So they work together, right? And a lot of it as well, there's so many different styles of marketing, right? There's social media marketing, there's Google, there's referrals, there's literally face-to-face marketing, which I think I'm an expert at, and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, they all work together. And I would say another thing is just being a living product of your business is so important. I can't sell the lifestyle of martial arts. I can't sell people on being a black belt if I'm not a good black belt, if I'm not in shape, if I don't live that lifestyle, right? So when you see me on Instagram and I'm posting about, yes, work hard, hustle hard, round 1 training, round 2 training, that's the life of a black belt, right? That's how we should be. And that's what I want my students to be. But I can't sell you on it if I'm not doing it myself.
Well, yeah, man, of course. You could go out there and like pretend to be a black belt and try to sell whatever you want, but if you don't have the receipts, if you don't have I like to do those little accountability things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot of this from people like yourself who are in the gym and actually doing it. You got like a fucking chain around you're doing like crazy fucking, I'm like, look at this fucking guy, man, like Jesus Christ. But that's real. Someone can go and verify, look into you. You are the face of your business. You are your business, and you're really doing it. You're not faking. All it would take is one quick Google search for your name, and someone's gonna see, oh, he's doing it. He's been doing it. Mm-hmm. They're gonna watch this podcast. Oh, he's really doing it. Yep. He went to London. He did all these things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's legit. Like that to me is a very important thing as well, because in a world where everyone, it's the sexy thing right now to be an entrepreneur and be in business and start selling T-shirts and drop ship them to everybody, where everyone's like glorifying this the e-commerce and Lambos and private jets and that lifestyle, whatever. Mm-hmm. What's really important is what you're doing, showing it, and hey, this is it. It's here. Come sign up. Like I'm not bullshitting anybody here.
Living the life.
Living the life.
Living the life you're selling. The lifestyle.
I love that. You're also into more than just all this, though, right? You have some side hustles that I'd like you to talk to us about a little bit.
Mhm.
Why don't you tell us what those are and what made you want to do even more than you already do?
Okay, so I think it's important. I think now the world we're living in, the lifestyle that everyone wants, you need to have some side hustles. And I've had, when I was younger, I'd always work two jobs, right? Well, most of the time it was always the karate school, but I remember there was one year where I worked two jobs. I worked at Moxie's restaurant.
Okay.
Oof, I love Moxie's, by the way. Love their nachos and everything. And I love going back to that restaurant to go eat with my wife because I used to work there and I used to clean the tables.
Yeah.
So it's a very humbling feeling when I go there. But the when you're working two jobs, let's be honest, money is so important. Money gives you options, and if you want to manage your money properly, having two sources of income or more is great because you can take one source, you save it, or you let that one source pay your basic expenses, and the other source you just completely save it, right?
Yeah.
So I've always been obsessed with multiple sources of income. So I would teach classes, get my hourly, my class when I was younger, teach my classes. I would work at Moxie's and I would do personal training, private lessons on the side. So I'd be making when I was younger, I would be making like $30 an hour, and that was a lot of money. Ooh, $30 an hour, and then I upped it to like $60 an hour. Ooh.
Yeah.
Now it's $100 an hour, which is great. But now what I've been doing, especially this year, when I found out when I found out I was having a kid, holy crap! So a lot of stuff starts running through your mind, and I'm like, hey, I gotta get a head start to this. And another thing was I don't want to start 2019 broke. How many people start 2019 broke because of Christmas? Because you always end up spending so much money on Christmas. You have to buy this person a present, this person a present, this person a present. And you got to buy your dog a present. You got to buy everyone presents. And then what's next? All these dinners you're going out to. Oh, $100 here,
Oh
$50
yeah.
there. And when you're in a relationship, sometimes it's $200.
Yeah.
So and then New Year's Eve,
New
right?
Year's
And holy
celebrations.
crap,
Yeah.
man, the amount of money you can spend on the holiday
Yeah.
is insane. So my thing was like, I'm not gonna start 2019 broke. I'm gonna start with 2019 with a lot of money, and be very happy and comfortable and keep making money. So what I did is actually, and not a lot of people notice, is I started doing Uber, and I loved it. I loved Uber. I did it for a couple of months, and it was just so fun because you meet so many cool people. And by the way, I drive a C300 Mercedes, so when I roll up with the Mercedes, people are like, "What the f?"
Yeah.
Why are you Ubering? And so many people have actually asked me while I'm driving, "Why do you do this?" I'm like, because I like to make money,
Yeah.
and all the money that I was making from Uber,
Yeah.
sorry,
Okay.
I would save it on the side. I wouldn't even touch that money. And it's such easy money, man. When people say they don't have time, oh my god, you guys are killing me. There's so much time. Everyone has the same 24 hours,
Yeah.
and there's so much opportunity to make money. There's money everywhere. If you don't have a job, go and you have a car, you can go be an Uber driver. If your car's too old, you go become a skip the dishes driver. Whatever. And you got to humble yourself as well. I own a business. I'm driving a Mercedes, but I'm doing this Uber thing. So people are just shocked. But I was making good money decent money off of that, and I would go hang out with one of my friends. So that one of my friends who lives on the East End, I'm like, okay, bro, I'll be there like in a couple hours. And what's cool about Uber is you can actually set a location, like, okay, I want to be here for a certain time,
Okay.
and you can pick up all these rides on the way. So I go
Nice.
to my boy's friend house and I would make $50 on the way, and I go hang out with him, and then I make $50 on the way back. That's $100, and I went to go hang out with one of my friends on a sick night. That's $100. I
Life
can
pro tip.
Yeah, man. Like I don't understand people that think they're too. Oh, my time is too valuable. That's the common one. It's too valuable, you
Yeah.
know. And like and especially when I knew I was having a kid, a lot was going through my mind. I want my kid to have a great life, and I want to have great resources. I want to give my kid the stuff my parents gave me, right? So let's start this off great. So I did the Uber. It was great. It was a fun time. Like I met great people. And then what I did as well is I made some of the money I made. I invested it and put it and bought an online program, an online course. It was all about social media, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do this course. And I'm gonna do it for my business, so I can up my Canadian Sport Martial Arts Academy's social media. I can learn about that. I can put it into my own personal account as well. Everything I learned from here, um, And then in the course, it's pretty cool. It teaches you some stuff, and then it teaches you how to kind of sell yourself and make a social media agency. Okay. So I'm like, okay, let's see. Let's try this out.
Okay.
Okay. And I pitched it to a couple of restaurant owners I know, and next thing you know, I run their social media campaign. I run their social media pages, and that's another side hustle right there.
Nice.
So I'm doing that. I'm doing Uber. I'm already working at the martial. I'm running my own business, making that, and I'm doing personal training as well.
Nice.
So it's I think the
So you're doing
concept.
personal training on top of the already the teaching, the one-on-one
Yep.
like teaching that
Yep.
you're doing.
Yep.
Wow.
So running the business, teaching classes. I'm doing personal training. I'm doing Uber. I'm doing this social media agency. So it's 7 days a week, but it's nothing. That's nothing. You don't need a day off. It's unacceptable to take a day off, especially at our age.
Yeah.
You don't need a day off. My one concept I love living by is make money every day.
Every day.
Find a
No
way to
such
get
thing
paid.
as a weekend. What's a weekend?
Find a way to get paid every day. When you have a day off, make more money that day. I would book my personal training on my day off. I would book my personal training on the Sunday. And it's just that, when you're working every single day, you have this mindset, you feel like you're just ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
And then you feel so confident, and then you just feel so good about yourself.
Yeah, man.
Nothing can stop you. So, you see me posting on Instagram, I'm sure some people get annoyed, but I'm like, no days off, no days off. It's true though.
Yeah, but
and
who
and
cares
you
about
you
those
feel
people,
amazing.
though,
So when
bro?
you're working,
Yeah.
when you're performing at work, you have this ego that I haven't taken a day off and I'm still doing this.
Yeah.
And then you work better. You get better results.
100%.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so motivated right now. I'm about to take 2020 by storm,
Let's
bro.
go, bro.
Don't start 2020 broke.
Don't start 2020 broke, man.
I love it. I love it. Talk to me about your 2020. What's it gonna be? What's the next? What's the big goal?
2020 is interesting because it's the start of a new decade. 10 years ago, I actually switched over to the martial arts school I took over now. It's actually insane. And I only thought about this 2 months ago when I really just kind of did some reflection. I'm like, holy crap, I've been here for like 10 years and now I run the school. And actually 2020, like 'cause when we took over the school, I had to take a business loan.
Okay.
So my last business loan check is coming out in December 15th.
Wow, man.
So 2020, I own the business fair and clear, So we did it, that's a big thing because
That's huge,
we're
man.
paying a loan every month, and obviously that's cutting into some stuff, but now it's like, holy crap, like we don't have these checks coming out. Like,
Talk about a long-term vision, though. 10
Yeah.
years ago. See, people want instant gratification.
Yep.
They want the results now. And no, they want the results yesterday. They don't want to put in the time, the work, the hours, the 10 years, 10 grueling years, bro. And I can't even imagine how much shit probably went wrong. How many things, obviously we don't have all day to just sit down and talk about your every day to day, what went down. But man, talk to me about some of the things where you were actually stressing, actually worried, because right now you seem very calm, collected. Obviously you are confident, everything's all good, I got these streams of income. But there must have been days, there must have been moments where you sat down and thought, man, maybe I'm in over my head on this thing.
Yep. So it was definitely when I was in school, right? When you feel that way. School's interesting because school tests people at the same rate, but now we realize that everyone learns at a different rate.
Facts.
You learn differently, I learn differently, but we're all being tested on the same pace and the same exact time. And there's people that are naturally should be going to school and they become doctors, they become engineers, and shout out to those guys.
We need those people.
We need those people.
We're not giving blanket advice, don't go to school. That's not what you're saying. But yeah, continue, sorry.
No, it's true. We need those people. Those people are meant to go to school. I was definitely not meant to go to school. A lot of people are not meant to go to school. They just got pushed into it and followed the system. But there were so many downtimes, and I was with my wife. I'm with my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, and my wife, she became a nurse. So she's set. When you study nursing, you're gonna get a job at the end. You know what you're gonna do when you're studying nursing. I didn't know what the F I was gonna do, right? And I'm like getting my marks back, and I'm like, holy crap, man, like this freaking sucks, you know? And
Yeah.
I feel so down, and I message my wife, and I'll be like, yo, I don't, you know, I'm so scared. I don't think I'm gonna give you the life that you deserve. I don't think,
Damn.
you know, I don't. And my biggest fear back then is that I'm not gonna be successful. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna be able to buy a house, this, that, you know. And I think a lot of people go through that. I think a lot of people have those lows when it come when in, during when the while they're in school. So that's definitely was the biggest low, and it that low I was going through that throughout my whole university career. Throughout the whole university career, I was going through that. I felt like I was putting so much work, but I wasn't getting it out. But I would just keep coming back at it. And that's the martial arts thing about it, right? Like it's like with the story we talked about in the beginning, how I would always lose tournaments, but I keep coming at it back at it. And it was the same thing with school. I would keep coming back, and I was starting to see better and better results. And then, you know, like I said, I probably had like a C plus average, which is okay. You can graduate with that, but not like if you want to do something great. Like if you want to go into physiotherapy, or if you want to go become a doctor, whew, they ain't gonna take no C plus average guy. You know, they're not gonna take me. So I would say that was probably the biggest lows, the worst times I've had within the 10 years, unfortunately, was when I was in school. And when it comes to business, there's gonna be good times and there's gonna be bad times. And I think those storms that I weather through at school, the storms I weather through in the business is completely different. I have a
Mm.
different mindset when I weather through it. And you know, like you know, you're talking about how people think entrepreneurship is sexy and everything like that. No one really sees the back end of it and how it's not. Sometimes it's rough.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know you'll have times where you're like, damn, I don't think the rent payment is gonna go through.
Yeah.
And there's times where like, oh crap, like I can't pay myself this time. So, but you know, now obviously that was in the beginning when we took over the business. Now we're awesome. We're doing okay now. But there is times throughout past these 10 years where I've run into these lows, and you just weather through it. And now we're blooming.
It all comes back to that long-term vision that you
Exactly.
had.
Yeah.
Um, what's this decade look like for you in terms of that vision?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying you, I don't know how you really think, but I'm sure you have a picture in your mind for when your child turns 10. What do you want? What do you want by 2030?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of things, and we put it out there now or not, but what are some things that you have kind of started to visualize you want for your life?
So, good quote is that we underestimate, so we overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, and we really underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 years. I did not think I would be able to take over this business and pay it off in these 10 years, right? I didn't even see that in the future. So 10 years from now, like when I did the reflection, I thought about how these past 10 years went. Now I have that in my mind that if I map out these next 10 years, if I really think about what I really want to do, I can get this done, right? So I would say my biggest future goals is definitely getting into real estate. You know, and you know, and growing my business as high as I can, as and taking it to the next level that we can. But then
Would you franchise? Would you want it to become
I
a
would
franchise?
franchise it for sure. And anything, whatever way we can grow, or even having just one powerhouse location
Right.
sounds really nice to me. And investing in real estate and doing these properties while having, and I could teach at this martial arts school. Even more long term, the goal would be to freaking be able to dip for 4 months of the year, and my school running itself. Right now, my school is actually getting to that point. We have about me and my partner, we've hired now 15 staff members,
Wow.
which is insane. So now we're at the point where, you know, I can leave, or he can leave, we can both leave, and the school can run itself, and it's actually pretty cool. So my future goal would be to be able to leave, maybe go to Thailand for 4 months, get away from this terrible winter we're having,
That's
and
my goal.
yeah, and
That's
just
my
let the
dream, man.
school run itself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I love it so much.
Yeah.
You know, I've had people tell me, "What are you gonna do for retirement?" Because when you own a business, you don't really have a retirement plan. You don't have a pension plan or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I found my retirement job, because a lot of people who get retired, a lot of them, what they want to do is they want to get in shape and they want to maybe teach classes or teach fitness classes. I've talked to a lot of retired people, and that's what they want to do. But I'm like, man, I feel like I've actually found my retirement job, and this is something I can do when I'm older. I want to go back to this, my school, and be like Master Roshi on Dragon Ball Z and have this big gray beard and be super jacked still. I'm always gonna be jacked.
Yeah. Hell
And
yeah.
come back to the school and teach classes whenever I want, and people will always know who I am. So that's pretty much the long term goal, is investing, making the school flourish. And when it comes to my son can do whatever he wants. I'm not gonna force him to martial arts, but I'm still gonna force him to martial arts.
I knew that was coming.
I want him to. He's got to get his black belt. I think
Yeah.
there's just so much benefits when you teach a kid to go set a long-term goal. Because to get a black belt, it's 4 to 5 years. If you teach a kid to set that long-term goal and achieve it, it's such a great benefit. And just I've seen the confidence in the kids who get their black belt at a young age, and the way they do in school and everything like that. So it'd be something I definitely want for my son. But if he wants to compete, if he wants to be a great martial artist, it's up to him.
Yeah.
Or he can be a big book nerd or be a nerd, but
Whatever it is, go all in.
go all in. But I will definitely be more jacked and in shape than him. I won't let him touch me though.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I that's a great vision, man, and I know you're gonna get it.
Mhm.
I'm not really even
Thank
like
you.
it's not even a question. It's just it's gonna happen. How it happens might not always follow the same path as you think,
Yeah.
but I'm excited. I'm excited to watch you grow, man,
Thank
because
you.
just from what I've watched from as long as I've known you,
Mhm.
hype. What are has your view on hustle and grind changed at all since having a child though?
Oh,
Would you
great
still
question.
go do the Uber for 4 or 5 hours?
For sure.
Yeah.
If I had to, yes. Now, obviously, now my time is a little more valuable now that I have a kid. Every morning when I wake up, I spend time with my son. I don't want to miss a moment of him because I work all day. I work in the evening and night. So in the morning, the first thing I do is I drink. I have my water and coffee sandwich. I chug some water, have a coffee, chug some more water, and I pick him up and I just talk with him.
Oh, that's
And
cute.
he's
That's
like,
cute,
yeah,
man.
yeah, makes hilarious noises. I think the grind will always be there because now there's no choice.
Yeah.
You got to win. I have so much accountability. There's accountability check now, right? So
Yeah.
every time I look at him, I'm like, damn, his face, his eyes is telling me, go get it, dad. Go. Don't fail. Don't, you know what I mean? Like, he's just looking at me. Like, I look at him, I'm like, I can't fail this guy. I got to make sure there's always a roof on his head. He's fed. He's got, he's actually already has a Mercedes. It's pretty hilarious.
The little toy one.
Yeah, he's got a little toy Mercedes, so he's gonna want nice cars. And he has nice clothes too. So, it's the grind has always been, the focus has always been the same even before I had the kid. I think back then my purpose was more like, before I had the kid, I was more scared of losing everything. I think that was what really drove me, is I was scared to fail, to lose my house, to lose my family, everything like that. So I'd work, to always be able to provide. But now it's a little bit different. Now my focus is on this guy and making sure that this guy can grow and has everything he deserves.
Powerful.
Yeah.
In terms of time management, what's been the biggest key for you? Because your day, it probably doesn't look the same every day,
Mm-hmm.
and you have so many things filling up your time.
Yeah.
What's been a key for you?
Just mapping it out. I just bought a agenda. I used to just do it on my phone, but I love writing it now. It feels more powerful when you write.
Me too.
So I map it out every Sunday. Actually, tonight after we talk, I'm gonna map out my week. So every Sunday it's kind of a ritual where I map out my week. I set some goals I want to achieve for this week, but I also set what I want to do. So I'll wake up, I'll have that water coffee sandwich, I'll play with my son. I do intermittent fasting, so I don't eat anything. But then I'll do my fasted cardio. I own a gym, right? So we have a gym at the karate school. So I go there really quick. I'll do some cardio. I hit this really mean, nasty machine called the Versa Climber.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever tried it.
No.
Someday you should come to my gym one day. You
All
should
right.
come right time. We'll do a workout, and this machine
Okay.
is just disgusting. It's like a climbing machine, and it kills you.
Okay.
It's like you use the assault bike.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
similar to that, but it's like a vertical machine, and you
Okay.
have handles here, and you're pumping those legs. You're just doing
Holy
this.
shit.
It's
Okay.
terrible. It's actually terrible. So, but I do that for like what I do is I put my phone. I watch your podcast, and so that way I have something to survive to, and I'm just doing that for my
Yeah.
fasted cardio. And I, get a protein shake in. Then I come home, spend time with the kid again, and then just get ready for work. Right? Maybe it's posting on social media for the other businesses, for my business, for myself. Just yeah. And as long as you map it out, right? Because then once I get to karate, once I get to the karate school, it's time to teach class. Actually, it says on my agenda, 5 p.m. is the first class. What it says is to teach amazing classes, because I got to teach amazing classes. It's part of the game, right? So it's always just mapping it out and following it. And when I'm done, I check off. And because sometimes you're not going to get everything done.
Yep.
It's reality. Something comes out of the way. Like I'll be at work at CSMA, and sometimes I'll have a friend just come visit me and wants to catch up, and I can't say no. I'm like, hey, it's awesome. I get to see one of my long friends. So whatever, I don't check it off. Or something comes in the way. Maybe there's an emergency at the school or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but and then my thing is that the more check marks I get, that's a good day.
Yeah. I like the way Tony Greco put it, actually, with the win-loss category thing.
Yes.
I've been implementing a lot of, I'm learning from great people like yourself, and, I do like writing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very big. I have 4 different notebooks. I'm kind of crazy. One for fitness and training and nutrition, one for just my, podcast action items and stuff, one for just general to-do list. But one thing I found, because I've always kind of write things down, I never go back and cross the things off. I just get the things done.
Yeah.
But I find it very powerful. Okay, to look audit. Okay, look, I got 10 of these 15 things done, but the other 5 are gonna have to move to tomorrow. It's not the end of the world.
No.
I'll get them done tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I like getting in that mindset a lot. Coming back to the nutrition a little bit and your intermittent fasting, I'm very fascinated by that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I try to implement it. I'm not great at keeping up with it on the weekends. I fall apart.
Yeah.
But I'm good through Monday through Thursday. I pretty much intermittent fast until about 12 o'clock is when I'll have my first meal.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you with the fasted cardio, because I'm a huge fan of working out on an empty stomach.
Yes.
I just feel great. And I don't know if you've seen, I like to try to go. Actually, yeah, you always comment on me when I go to the gym. You
Assault
always say,
bike.
yeah, I'm there very early, and I
Yeah.
like to get it done if I can go early.
Yeah.
After that, I feel like I could eat a horse.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so hungry.
It's tough, man, because you gotta. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
But it also depends on your work schedule too. It depends when you start work and everything. And I'm lucky, my business doesn't open till 12 o'clock, so I have the whole morning to do my side hustles or to work on myself, to train, to spend time with Leo and everything like that. So it's different on whatever your work schedule is. If you're gonna do fasted cardio, holy crap, you need to eat after.
Yeah.
You're gonna be hungry after. So it is hard. So that's why I'll time my fasted cardio to before it's time to eat.
So
'Cause I
what's your
don't-
window?
My window is from, as long as I skip breakfast, obviously, and I'm not the most strict intermittent fasting guy, but at least I'll have my first meal anywhere from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay.
And then I'm teaching classes, right? So I don't have time to eat when I'm teaching classes.
Right.
And then usually I'll have a good couple, I'll try to fit some snacks in there, but I'll have a good meal probably at 9 o'clock. So it depends. It's changed every day.
Right.
Because a lot of it is the classes that I teach. When I'm teaching classes, I don't have time to eat.
Right. Do you try to snack or anything?
Yeah, like a protein bar,
Okay,
things
yeah.
like that.
Just to keep
But a
you-
lot of times, my wife says I'm anorexic, but I'm not. It's just hard to eat sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And then, but the fasted cardio, I just time it. I time it so I'll time it before it's time to actually eat, and I don't even eat right away. I'll make a nice smoothie. I'll make a protein shake, put a banana, some water, some flax seeds, all that kind of stuff,
Nice.
and that'll be my first actual meal of the day.
Love it.
Yeah.
Any other nutrition tips or philosophy out there? If you believe we've already gone way over an hour.
Have we?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was wondering. I was like, man, I wonder what time it is. No, that's great.
Isn't
We're
that cool?
killing it.
Because you watch them and you so you know how long they are when you're watching them. But
Yeah,
when you're doing it, time kind of just flies.
it
I
really
feel like I
does.
could talk for 3-4 hours
Yeah,
with
but
you.
it really does fly by, man. Well,
Yeah,
time flies by when you're having fun.
for sure, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, back to the nutrition. Like, is there any other like tips you'd give people out there, just generally speaking? I know you're not a nutritionist,
Yeah.
like disclaimer out there, whatever. But people would like to learn from people like you, man.
So it's it's about intake and output, right? I think you have to have a good balance of both. So I train twice a day every day. Sorry, that's a lie. I train twice a day, maybe 5 times a week. Okay, which is still a lot. Like, not you can't do it every day because your body's got to recover. But the reason why I do that is because I just feel better. I find I perform better. I work better when I'm working out a lot, and just because I love food, man. I freaking love food. I see there you got a Cheesecake Factory box.
Hell yeah,
I ate it
man.
right away because I love cheesecake, man. Like, holy crap, I love food, and I'm not
Man.
eating bad every day.
Yeah.
I'm eating pretty clean, mostly like just a lot of low carbs, and it depends on what kind of day I'm having. So if, like Wednesday's fight night, so Wednesday I'm fighting at nighttime. I gotta eat a little bit more, or else my body's gonna shut down when we're sparring and when we're training.
Yeah.
So it's different every day. I just kind of just really decrease the carbs. If you really want to lean out, especially very fast, like my goal this year, I had a big goal for 2019 was to lose like 25 pounds. So I was close to 200 pounds in the beginning of 2019. So hey, that was another thing. I didn't want to start 2019 broke, and I didn't want to be fat.
Fat.
Okay, I didn't want to be out of shape, So
Yeah.
and what so I lost 25 pounds. I hit my goal of 175, and I've maintained it. And the best way of doing it was just like literally just lowering the carbs. Having some small carbs here and there, and occasionally you gotta have your cheat days and your sometimes cheat weekends, and then and that's the thing that fasting really helps you with,
Yeah.
right? Is that if you're rebounding that bad, you might have to do a fast during the week, maybe a full day fast or something like that, and
Yeah.
just drink water and coffee and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing is coffee as well. Do you drink a lot of coffee?
Yeah, I'm a big coffee guy.
I'm a big coffee guy too. So coffee is a great appetite suppressant.
It is.
So when you're drinking coffee and water throughout the morning, that helps you with the intermittent fasting well. Because like really, really true, strict intermittent fasting people will tell
They
you,
say no coffee.
yeah, no coffee. But, they have the coffee.
I think you still get like most of the benefits if you don't. But I'm not a doctor or scientist. But yes, technically speaking, some people even say you can have water. But now it's like, all right, man,
Yeah,
chill out, chill out, bro.
It's
It goes straight through you. But
It
I'm a
does.
big fan of the intermittent fasting as a tool.
Yeah.
I don't think people should use it as just like a be all end all solution to anything. There is none. There's none. But like everything you just said is pretty much the consensus among people who have a healthy attitude towards nutrition and working out.
Yeah.
Balance. Have a cheat meal here and there. Keep your sanity. Lower the carbs and try to implement intermittent fasting.
Exactly.
I love it. One of the last topics I'll discuss with you, since we are a little short on time here, is injuries and how it's impacted you. You talked about earlier this year you had a knee injury.
Yep.
Talk about coming back from that and how that not only impacted your physical but your mental.
Okay, so I've actually had, like you said, many injuries in my life. So I dislocated my left knee twice due to karate. I've sprained my ankles, broken my thumb. So many like small injuries here, but the knees were always the worst, man. When you blow a knee out, it's atrocious. And this year, like I said, my goal is to hit 175. My goal was, to also just get really good at fighting and become a great fighter and maybe potential compete at a big tournament this year. I was getting at such a high level fighting. I was fighting 3 times a week. I was, boxing my friends. I have some friends that do Muay Thai, and I'm like, yo, let's do some boxing, because it's good. It's good to work the reflexes and everything like that and footwork. And then actually it was the day after my birthday, May 15th. And we're fighting super hard, and it's a freak accident, and it's part of the game, right? You're going to get injured. We're fighting hard. It's part of the game. And I had my back foot turn, and the guy was coming at me, and I fell backwards as my back foot's turned. So
Okay.
my kneecap, I dislocated, and I tore this whole side of all the ligaments on this side. And my knee went over there. And it was actually my business mentor, my coach, who was in the middle of the ring, like refereeing. and I'm on the ground screaming at the top of my head. Like, it's the worst feeling ever,
Yeah.
you know. And he's like, "Holy crap! Like, what do I do? What do I do?" And I'm like screaming, like, "Just put it back in, just straighten it out." And he
Yeah.
straightens out my leg, and the feeling of the knee just coming back. Oh my god, best feeling ever. And and it sucked, man, because I worked so hard this year. And it's just sometimes it's just how it goes, you know. I worked really hard this year to lose so much weight, and I became so good at fighting, I'm gonna get it back. But I became so good at fighting, got such a high level, and it just got like that, just gone. And I just actually I shouldn't be fighting right now. The doctor told me to take 6 months off. But I took like 4.5. I'm like, I'm so ready. My idea was like, if I could do plyometrics, if I can jump, I can probably fight. And it still feels like there's still
It's a little sketchy.
it's a little sketchy. That's the best word to describe it. It's sketchy.
Yeah.
But I'm not going super hard right now because I'm just trying to get my timing back and my movement back. And I'm getting beat up really bad already. You know, it is what it is. It's part of fighting.
Right.
And that's what fighting really teaches you. Sparring teaches you. It teaches you to be humble as well, because it teaches you that if you want to give a beating, you have to take a beating. So I get beat up a lot. I've lost a lot of fights. I've won fights. I've lost a lot of tournaments, karate tournaments. I've won tournaments. You know, but the thing is, it's the accountability. I own this martial arts school. I run this school, and I teach that if we get pushed back, if we get pushed against the wall, if we fall down, we gotta pick ourselves back up.
Yeah.
And I fell pretty low. I gained my weight, like not all of it, thank God, but I did gain like close to 10 pounds again. I had my cousin who probably is gonna watch this. He's like, "Yo, man, don't gain weight." I'm like, "Shut up." And I have this picture. Like when I messed up my knee, I actually had a week off of work because I just could not do anything.
Yeah.
And I was just on the couch being a potato the whole time. And
Yeah.
I have this picture. My wife made me this nice waffle with chocolate chips and everything. And I'm like, yeah, you know, with my crutches and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, like. That night it was such a rough night. Actually, you know, I was actually crying that night. I was so upset
Yeah.
because it was just so devastating. My wife comes picks me up, and my wife is 5 months pregnant, by the way. So she's like pregnant, and she comes picks me up, and she takes me to the hospital. And you think it's the other way around?
Yeah.
I should be pushing her in the wheelchair. She's pushing me in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Throughout the hospital. But I was just like crying, and she's like, "Are you in pain?" And I'm like, "No, because like I've worked so hard this year. I just put so much into my training and my fitness, and I just been, because when you fight a lot, like, you feel good.
Yeah.
You know, you feel more alive. You feel like, you know, you're taking a lot of risks. You're scoring. Sometimes you're getting hit. Oh, you get hit in the stomach. Oh, that hurt, but that feels great. You know, like, it's just,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
you feel good. You
Yeah.
know, and it was an accident. I'm not totally upset about it, but it's a lesson.
It's a setback.
It's a setback, and the comeback is stronger than the setback. And you know, it's gonna make me, when I get back to the level that I was and better, it's gonna make me remember that.
Yeah.
And be like, well, you know, a year ago this happened, and now I'm here. So that's why one of my goals this year is to go to a big tournament and compete, especially after that big setback. And now I'm back at fighting. I'm back at my weight, 175, and it feels great. And it just, you know, because my goal this year, 2019, was to be this weight. But what's the point of achieving that goal if you're not gonna keep it? You know. And that's the thing. We achieve goals, but we don't maintain it. A lot of
Right.
times people set these goals, and they don't, but the real aspect of achieving these goals is maintaining the goal, right? So
It comes back to that long-term mentality, man. It really does. You can set these milestones, and I think I saw some quote. It was something like, goals. You need goals. Goals are very. I'm butchering this, by the way, but you need goals. Goals are important for the short term and
Yeah.
to give you the motivation and stuff like that. But it's the discipline and it's the, you know, long term, enjoying the process and actually living it and
Yes.
and maintaining it, like you said. That's important.
Discipline, man, is everything, because I say this to the students all the time. Every day should be like a war, and there's battles throughout the day. What is the first battle that we
Waking up.
exactly? Should I press the snooze button?
Yeah.
Or should I sleep in? And we're not gonna win every single battle,
No.
right? maybe I lost. I'm not the most disciplined person, by the way. I'm disciplined, but I'm not like stone cold, like David Goggins kind of stuff,
No.
But there's times where I love cheesecake and I sleep in and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's battles every day that we're gonna be facing, and the more battles you win, the more you're gonna win that war. So waking up is one of them. Going to the gym,
Okay.
Going to the gym is one of them as well. And that's one thing is it's discipline. I teach the kids, you got to consistently train. If you want to achieve your next belt, you got to consistently come to class. You got to work on practice on your own.
Yeah.
And that's a battle,
Yeah,
right? How many
is.
times do kids want to stay home and play the video game? And there's so many times where parents are like, oh, he just doesn't want to come to class. I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, that's your job. You're the accountability captain. When you think about it,
Yeah.
you got to motivate him to come to class. You got to bring him to class, right? If you teach your kids at a young age to make the decision of playing a video game or staying home instead of going to train, what's going to happen when they're older, when they have to go to school or when they have to go to work or when they really have to go to the gym?
Laziness and entitlement. I
Exactly.
see so much of it, man. And
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it too at certain times, man. Certain times I want to just sit and just chill and watch Netflix or just do something that's completely unproductive. But it's that voice in your head that's telling you, yo, do you want to go back to, that dark moment in your life? Do you want to go backwards? No, man, always forwards. And I've been obsessed with this idea lately of falling forward. Someone, I don't know who said that. It's pretty generic, I guess, but it's like, instead of like, we all fall, we're gonna fall, just fall forward.
Yeah.
Because it's okay. Like, we're human. We're gonna have the cheesecake. You're gonna fuck up. You're gonna sleep in and hit the snooze button. You're gonna play video games sometime. But try to make it so that you're at least, all right, I played video games today. Tomorrow I'm going right back to training, and all week I'm going to train.
Yep. Yep.
At least 80% of the time, if you're doing good, you're going to still achieve your goals, man.
Yep. And it's a muscle in your brain. If you exercise it more, if you exercise your free will more, if the more times you pull yourself out of the couch and go to the gym, the better you're going to get at it.
Yep.
Right? It's a muscle. The brain's
It becomes easier and easier. Because
it becomes routine.
I want to sleep. I love sleep.
Yeah.
This is pretty early in the morning sometimes. And, maybe I didn't get enough sleep or something like that. But I'll roll over and I'll ask myself that. I have that internal battle. It's such a battle, though. And you're just like, bro, another 10, 15 minutes would be great.
Yeah.
That's when I just get up.
Especially now when it's so cold.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a
And
battle.
I'm not saying I'm perfect, but that's what, and you brought up the accountability check. The reason why, I'm doing that is mainly for me. I'm just selfish and it's my ego, but it's to keep me in check.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm not going to make it every time.
Yeah.
But I'll still make it later in the day. It doesn't matter. I post a time for a reason because it doesn't matter. It's not the morning thing that matters. It's not even the gym part that matters. It's deeper than that. I hate to say it's deeper than that because it's not that deep, but it sometimes is, man. It leaks into so many different areas of your life. Once you're in that groove of working out, once you're in that groove of making money, once you're in that groove of eating right, it leaks in. You want to just be a great human to people. You want to be a better son. You want to be a better, mentor to people. You want to make a better podcast.
Yeah.
Everything just becomes better. But that same force can work in the opposite direction, because we all know people who get into that groove of, I ate cheesecake. I ate cheesecake this weekend. Well, fuck it. I'll start next Monday.
Yeah.
I'll start my diet next week.
Yep.
Or, you know what? 2019 hasn't been my year. I'm going to start January 1st.
Yep.
Bullshit. I fucking can't.
Well, why should Monday be the start?
Why? Why not now?
Why not
And
now?
That doesn't mean that just because you start now, you can't have fun and enjoy life anymore. Everything's got to be a drag. Just employ a little bit of self-control and discipline into your life.
Discipline. And I think the way we got into this tangent where we're talking about the nutrition and the training, and I think what it comes down to is my output has to be greater than my input.
Yeah.
So, and I love eating food. I practice intermittent fasting, but I gotta train hard. If I'm gonna eat cheesecake, I love how we use cheesecake as the example,
I
but
love
oh
cheesecake, man.
frig, man, shout out to
Shout
cheesecake.
out to cheesecake. I wanted to
Love
start my own company called D's Cakes.
these cakes.
Might
The,
actually do it one day though. Healthy version.
if we want to eat that, we gotta earn it, right?
Yep.
With the training and everything like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the final thoughts I'll end off with, because I know we could go on for hours like
Oh
this,
yeah.
bro, but I'll have you back on.
Awesome.
On the It's Not That Deep podcast, what I'm trying to do now, kind of with my guests, is kind of touch on this one topic. And I'm not sure if you saw, I kind of wrote an article on it a little bit, but I have this belief that at a core level and fundamentally, all humans are kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
We all kind of want the same things, whether it be health, wealth, happiness, some core things that we all kind of want. That's something that I believe. It's not universally true, and I'm still working on this theory myself.
Yeah.
You've met many people in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You meet many people every day. You're very present, and you're very good at talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna start your own podcast. You're gonna do lots of things in the future.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel? What are your thoughts on this? What do you think about
That
my
everyone's
little?
the same.
Yeah. What do you think? And speak freely.
Mm-hmm. I think it's true. I definitely agree that it is somewhat true that we're all the same. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. Obviously, everyone has different starts,
Different
right? But you
starts.
cannot. Your start is not what's going to dictate. It's where you finish. It's what you take. It's what you do with the tools that are provided to you.
Yeah.
Right. We all live in the same world. We all have the same 24 hours. We all have to. Sometimes some of us go to school. We all need a job. Everyone's getting paid minimum wage sometimes, right? But it depends on what you do with the tools that you have,
Right.
and that's what depicts that's what changes it, right? Because I may live in the same neighborhood as all these other guys and work in the same job, but what am I doing when I get home, right? We may work. Let's say everyone's working the same job and gets paid the same money and works the same hours in the neighborhood, but when they go home, what are they doing different? Right. So it just depends on what I think. It depends on what you're doing with the tools that you have, and that's what changes everyone.
It's very true, man.
Yeah.
I think one of the first pages of Jocko Willink's book "Discipline Equals Freedom," because Jocko Willink, for those who don't know, is a retired Navy SEAL, and I look up to this guy a lot. And he has a podcast, and he's been on Joe Rogan, this and that. Great dude. But I think one of the first pages he talks about how in the Navy SEALs he's met people from every walk of life.
Mm-hmm.
People who started privileged, people who started poor, people black, white, Asian, whatever. All kinds of different circumstances. Some people came up in the rough projects. Some people came up with a big inheritance. All kinds of people. But there's an equalizer, and those are the things you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I love that a lot, man.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our lightning round.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you, 4 or 5 questions,
Okay.
and you don't feel rushed to answer them or
Okay.
anything. As you know, you've listened to the podcast before.
Yep.
But yeah, it's really not that deep. They're just random questions I came
Okay.
up with.
Okay.
If you could recommend one particular martial art for parents to enroll their kids in, what would it be and why?
Interesting. Now we live in a time where it's kind of a mixed martial arts time. Back in the day when I did karate, when I was a kid, there was different schools. There's a karate school. There's a taekwondo school. There's a judo, jiu-jitsu, judo. Different schools. I like to compare martial arts to religion.
Okay.
They all have the same message. Well, they should have the same message. But they all have different means of teaching it.
Right.
Right? Like judo is more throws, jiu-jitsu is more submissions, karate is more striking, taekwondo is a lot more kicks. So my answer to that is, if for parents that are listening and you're looking for a school to enroll your kids in, make sure that the values that they teach are values that you believe in. So at my school, we teach about self-discipline. We teach about goal setting. We try to teach things that they don't teach in regular school.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's when you're looking for martial arts school. Depending on and sorry, getting back to why everything's more mixed. My school, we don't just teach karate.
Okay.
We teach a good mix of everything. We teach taekwondo, we teach judo throws, we teach our kids how to defend themselves if they're on the ground, because 90% of a fight will end up on the ground.
Yeah.
Things like that. So we gotta. It's just more to make the martial arts more well-rounded.
Okay.
And it's
Good
more
answer.
of, it's the new times right now. So, but as long as they're teaching the values of respect, which is another thing I didn't mention, is respect is a big thing.
Okay.
Because there's some martial arts schools out there that don't teach that.
Okay.
And that's why some of their kids end up using the martial arts at school,
Right.
on their friends, and then it becomes more of like this like fighting.
So you
thing,
wouldn't
right?
say there is one that, like, if you had to choose one discipline, one art for a younger kid to learn that kind of would set them up best for all of them, you recommend more the mixed approach,
The
getting a
mixed
bit of
approach.
everything.
A little bit of everything.
Fair
It's
enough.
like as a black, I'm a fourth degree black belt, but I'm still learning, right? So it's one of those things that there's always so much knowledge, right? And especially with martial arts, there's so many different ways, so many different streams of martial arts. So there's not one perfect one, I would say.
Okay.
But as long as they're teaching proper values, that's the most important thing.
Okay. If you could tell 17-year-old you anything, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. Ah, man, 17-year-old me. Focus a little more on school, obviously.
Or not.
Or not. Or not. And just don't rush into things, right? I'll tell my 17-year-old me what I tell all my 17-year-olds right now at the school is take your time. Don't be shy. It's okay to take a year off.
Because that's a weird age, man.
It's a weird
That's
age.
the age where you know everything.
Yeah, you think you know everything.
No, but
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm
Yeah,
saying. You think I got this thing figured out,
Mm-hmm.
but really, like, you need a just big slap in the face. Like, you don't know shit.
And
And I probably, like, I'm 24 now, bro. I don't know shit.
Mhm.
This is why I have a podcast, to learn from people who know more shit than me.
That's awesome. Great. Yeah, so I would just say, like, just there's nothing wrong with taking a year off. Take your time and don't rush into things, right? And travel. Oof, man, you got to travel. I tell my 17-year-olds, go travel.
Yeah.
Go, they do these Euro trips at school. Go do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's fun so you can see the world. And I've seen so much of the world when I was younger and even right now, and it's so important.
It
Yeah.
is. Books or podcasts you would recommend?
Oh,
Other than mine, of course.
So
you know.
it's not that deep, bruh. Gotta listen to this. So many books, man. I think one really good book is Own the Day. It's by this guy who owns a supplement company called On It, and On It is a supplement company that sponsors Joe Rogan as well. So Joe Rogan has had this guy. I can't remember the name of the
Aubrey.
author. Aubrey Marcus.
Yeah.
Aubrey Marcus. Great book. And he talks about how to work better, how to live better. He talks about eating better, about sex, about everything.
Yeah.
And it was such a good book. A lot of the stuff that I read in that book, I implement in my life, and it's really helped. So there's that one. There's the David Goggins book.
Can't Hurt Me?
Can't Hurt Me.
Oh, dude, it's on the list. It's high
Bro,
up on the list.
do you follow David Goggins on Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this guy is
Do I feel lazy as fuck when I
know.
see those videos?
And his podcast on Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Holy crap. He's
dude had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Or no. He had to have a heart surgery the morning of he ran a marathon.
Yeah.
What kind of sicko?
He's on the
Can't stop boat crew too.
and he's been around for so long because I went to New York one time and I did went to this conference full of seminars of amazing entrepreneurs, and there was this one guy named Jesse Itzler, and I got to meet him as well, which he was pretty cool. They talk in the podcast about this, but Jesse Itzler brought David Goggins to his house.
Okay.
And got David Goggins to train him, and the story just sounded unreal.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
His book's good. And another one, I live by this one, is the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone.
Okay.
Have you read that one yet?
No, I haven't.
Holy crap, that's a good one. That was a game-changing book for me as well. that really it's pretty much what it is just to take massive action, kind of like what you're doing right now with the podcast. You're just going full out with it. You're putting it on YouTube, you're putting it on Spotify, you're on Apple Music, you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, you're on this, just boom 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 boom, massive action, and that's how you get more and more results.
Right.
So when I read that book, I read it, and he was actually speaking at this conference in New York that I was just talking about,
Okay.
and I got to meet him.
No way.
And
you
Grant
met Grant
Cardone is like probably the biggest rock star and most popular entrepreneur right now. I think
Yeah.
he's what made, I think he made entrepreneurship super cool. You know what I mean? And super rock star life. So he
That
was
guy's a baller.
yeah. When I met him, man, it was pretty cool. It was boss. And the one thing, yeah, he said some pretty funny stuff. And he said this really funny thing where he's like, if you don't have $1 million business, you should be ashamed of yourself. And I was young at the time, and I'm like, I'm so ashamed. And I'm clapping, I'm so ashamed. And I got to meet him, man, and it was so cool. It was just he's such an unreal guy. So yeah, his book, Own the Day, David Goggins, and then obviously Tools of Titans. Have you heard of that one?
No.
It's a great book. It's like this big. It's you should get it. I highly recommend it. It's probably 700 pages, and it's one of those books that you can read at any time.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need to read it full out, and you can pick it up whenever time. It's full of great information. It's actually Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss has a really good podcast, and
I
these
love
are
his
pretty much
podcast.
people that he brought into his podcast. So it's probably a great book that you should look into because it has a lot of questions that he asks his podcast, the people that are on the podcast.
Great.
interviews
I'm
with.
gonna do that for sure,
Yeah.
man. Tell me something you think people would be surprised by if you told them, like kind of something about you that's like surprising that on the surface people would not put you in that box or wouldn't think you do this thing or anything. Kind of an open-ended one here.
Let's see. I like to play Super Smash Brothers.
Love it. Great
I
answer.
love that game, man. And that's the only game I play. It's the only game I'm good at. My friends always make fun of me for it. They're like, Imran, you will beat us in this game, but you can't beat it. You can't play any other game because I'm not a gamer, man. But that's the only game I can play, and I love that game.
It's a great game.
So yeah, that's probably the one thing that people probably don't know about me. I'm a nerd. I like to watch Lord of the Rings. If I don't know what to watch, I'll watch Lord of the Rings. I'll watch Star Wars.
Nice.
I'm actually a big nerd, but you know what? Nerds rule the world, and they stay out of trouble.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Last and final question while I got you here, brother. Favorite UFC fighter?
Ooh.
Now, you mentioned
It changed-
GSP
yeah.
earlier, but
GSP. Okay, I change it all the time. Right now, my favorite fighter is definitely Khabib.
Khabib.
Holy jeez,
Love
this
me
guy's a
some Khabib.
monster, man.
I
And
died
he's just-
when you were like, send me location, bro.
Yeah. It's the best. When he and I love Conor McGregor too. Conor
Yeah,
McGregor.
man.
I love them all. It's the worst is when you see two UFC fighters fight each other. And like, I love both of them. I hope they both win.
Yeah.
Like I'm like that. But the Conor and Khabib fight was very interesting. Because Conor was just kind of a big bully, and he was just talking some pretty negative shit, like saying some pretty bad stuff.
Yeah.
And Khabib is a very humble person.
Yeah.
He's
It's a family guy.
yeah, the guy lives with his family.
Yeah.
He makes all his money. He doesn't care about the money, you
No.
know. And to see him snap at that fight was
Yeah.
just unreal. And the way he beat him down was just also like it must have felt so good for the little guys,
Yeah.
When the big guy is always picking on the little guy. Obviously, Conor McGregor is such a superstar, and but he was being a bully, And,
Yeah.
and sometimes you got to do that to sell the fights, and I get it,
Yeah.
But he was picking on the little guy. He was, and the little guy
Yeah.
kind of stood up and like
Choked him out.
choked him out, and destroyed him. So I
Beautiful.
would say Khabib is definitely my favorite fighter right now, and yeah, man. No, I love them all. I'm a big UFC guy.
That's
I
awesome, man.
Watch it every week.
We got to watch a card sometime,
Oh
man.
yeah, we should do a
100%.
Joe Rogan style podcast.
Oh, that'd be so dope, man. A fight companion.
Yeah. I love watching those fight companions.
Those are so funny, man.
Yeah.
Brother, thank you so much for coming out today. I really appreciate it, man. I'm going to have you back on. I can't wait to watch you crush all your goals.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to crush mine and share them with you as well.
It's awesome.
And, man, we're in this journey for the long haul, right?
For sure. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. And thank you for having me. Thank you for taking time to see me today. And when you said that I inspired you, thank you so much. That means a lot
You
to me
do, man.
when you said that. And you're doing awesome. You got so much momentum, and like it's consistency. You guys see his posts, is everything. He's so consistent with it, and that's why you're growing,
Thank you, brother.
right? And
I
that's what it
appreciate
takes. It
that.
takes discipline, and it takes consistency, and it's taking the momentum that you're getting and keep pushing that momentum,
That's
right?
true. That's the thing.
So keep it up, man. I love it.
I
Thank you so
appreciate you,
much.
brother. And just one final word before we go out. Don't start 2020 broke or fat.
Cheers, guys.
It's
Thank
not
you.
that deep. Thank you. Thanks for listening to another episode of the It's Not That Deep podcast. For access to exclusive articles and content, please head over to www.itsnotthatdeeppodcast.com. And to help me grow this thing to the next level, here's what I need you to do. Go ahead and subscribe to my podcast on all platforms wherever you listen, and share with all your friends and family on all social media. And please leave a rating as well. Remember, it's not that deep.